I want again to thank Mariella and everybody at Merit Press. Ilya Kaminsky is my hero because I will tell you, I've been writing and publishing for many, many years. And I'm 60. And this is my first book. And it would never have happened if it wasn't for Ilya Kaminsky. And, you know, so the spirit of generosity in this press has been so, made it such a marvelous experience. And it's a generosity among the other authors. I really feel good about it. You know, it began with Ilya and Mariella, so I really, you know, want to just thank you again. And I'm going to try to read a poem or two from, at least one poem from each section. I'd like to start with the first poem in the book, which is a ghazal form, Persian form, and it's written in couplets that are supposed to function independently of each other and yet somehow relate to each other. And the strict ghazal form has a formula for each couplet, which I tried to do, and then I ended up shortening this to a less, it's not really a strict ghazal. I took out some couplets and ended up with this. Question mark cafe. And there's a quote from the German poet Rainer Maria Rilke, which you'll hear. Question mark cafe. I've been sipping coffee in the dark cafe, which is my today mind uncurtained, stark cafe. The morning started crying for no apparent reason. The dreads were circling, shark cafe. How marooned I feel on this island of thought. I'm reviving like a half-dead verb in the word cafe. Name a word, any word. Soul could be the one you choose. Go ahead, it's okay, in the last remarks cafe. Who, if I cried, would hear me among the angelic orders? Rilke, the same old question mark cafe. Today I'm that torn moth lipping the jack in the pulpit of history who'll fly away, ghost cafe. The next poem I'm going to read, Ilya mentioned my poem about my husband's heart surgery. We were married very short, just a very short time, and my husband had a heart attack when he was 29. And he's okay, he's sitting here, I'm happy to say, but we entered the medical underworld, and he had bypass surgery in 1974. So you can imagine that was just a new procedure. It was very arduous, and you know, the medical profession, I'm encouraged because it seems like things are getting better in some ways, but they forget that you're human. They forget to be human, and this poem is kind of about that. Bypass. When they cracked open your chest, parting the flesh at the sternum and sawing right through your ribs. We'd been married only 5 weeks. I had not yet kissed into memory those places they raided to save your life. I could only wait outside in the public lobby of private nightmares while they pried you apart, stopped your heart's beating, and iced you down. For 7 hours, a machine breathed for you, in and out. God, seeing you naked in ICU minutes after the surgery, your torso swabbed a hideous antiseptic yellow around a raw black ladder of stitches and dried blood. Still unconscious, you did the death rattle on the gurney. His body is trying to warm itself up, they explained, to comfort me. Some of this book, we all come from, we all have childhoods, and I'm sure many of us have complicated childhoods. And mine was complicated by a number of things, including my father's alcoholism. And in a way, this book is about coming out of that kind of background. And so I'd like to read one called Whiskey Nights. He was still human, but he grew guttural and cruel. Even asleep, he would thrash at us and howl like a wounded animal. What was it that tore his insides? Once he wrapped himself in an electric blanket, plugged it in, and stretched out on the wet grass to watch the stars. We prayed he would electrocute himself. Dear God, those howls, those were our moonless nights. Love at such low tide, we thought death was the only possible future. When the priest offered the blessing at his funeral, I saw a light in the shape of a man rise out of his coffin and walk soberly toward me. Migraine. The soul exists, but it is smaller than we think. Particles of scattered light fused to the size of a bee. I know this because I saw the soul last night. Soul, I said, it's you. And it drew near, and it hovered like a worker, and it changed colors, rose to violet to yellow, as if to signal, yes. I felt heat and stillness, something electric from a swollen vein at the center of my being, and an inner eye bled open. I want to take a little shift now and read a poem about California history, but about American history in a lot of ways. I live in California in the Central Valley, and I've read a lot of the pioneer history, and I've read a lot of the diaries of the westward journey, women's diaries of the westward journey. And so I was kind of imagining a woman who made that journey, and this is called Inventing Anna. This morning, Anna's hummingbird lights, and that's actually the name of a hummingbird in California, Anna's hummingbird. So that's, let me start again. This morning, Anna's hummingbird lights the pollen wicks, the burnt orange lanterns of Chinese maple, as another day begins in the short series called June, July, and August. And each blossom shakes out the night's wet mix of stars and dark. It is then that I imagine a taciturn settler's lonely child wife falling into flattery or love with the itinerant naturalist who named this handful of darting plush after that first heated blush of arousal at the girl's throat, then picked up again for the east and anonymity. Yes, my Anna will be lost to oblivion and childbed fever 3 years later. But the lover striking out across the plains to meet his luck will never quite silence those pliant white bells of her petticoats ringing loose